Hey everyone, it's Melissa. How are y'all doing? So excited to be here with you today in the Bakery Business School for our hashtag Thursday Fave session. Let me just log in here and make sure that you can see me and that you can hear me and that everything is good. If you are here on the replay, I want you to throw up a hashtag replay so I know that you're seeing the content. If you are interested in getting invitations to these live sessions, if you are on the replay, but you would prefer to be live, you can send me a friend request on Facebook. I will add you and you will get invited to these events. You can look at the event section in the group and click your, mark yourself as going if you see an event you want to attend. Or you can join the email list on the website, and it won't be live invitations, but it will be replays. So you'll be able to at least have replay links in your email. So those are 3 ways you can get more of this content if you wanted to get more. Of course, it's not bringing this up. Here we are. Okay, I have this running, so I should be able to see comments. There's Michelle with the hashtag live. So good to see you, Michelle. Hope you're doing well today. Oh my gosh. Okay. So today's topic is really super interesting, and Michelle has been in the business for a while, so she might just get a kick out of this because we're going to be talking about what they don't tell you about baking business. This is interesting to me because, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because I have just added a ton of people to our group, which is amazing. And I'm so excited to see you here. So if you're catching this live, we do this every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That means if you want to get some live content like this, show up, put on your reminder, come in here and hang out. And I noticed a lot of you were kind of new to the industry. And because of that, some of you are probably experiencing some issues as you get started that maybe you're trying to gear up for the new year. You want this to kind of be your year and you want to make your baking business happen this year. And I think that you need to hear this right now. Sometimes a lot of the content that I'm giving you in the Thursday Fave session, some of it's like lovey-dovey, cutesy, like this is meant to make you feel good. This is meant to support you. And although today's information is meant to support you, it's going to be kind of like pulling off a Band-Aid because you don't hear about this type of content very much in this industry because a lot of times people don't want to talk about this. So I'm going to bring up 3 really big issues, I guess, today with you. And if you are one of those people who are already kind of neck deep in baking and selling your baked goods, again, you might kind of get a kick out of it because you've probably experienced these already. So just kind of let me know how you're feeling about it. If you are here live, you can always throw up your hashtag live like Michelle has done in the comments. And that just lets me know you're here. And maybe you can put a comment in once you get in here and let me know, how long have you been baking for money? How long have you been baking and getting exchange for money? So not like samples, giving stuff for free, doing stuff for your family only. How long have you been doing the transactional baking? Let me know. Okay, now I want to start off by saying that we are pretty darn lucky. I don't know what kind of jobs y'all have outside of baking. I don't know what kind of industries you've been a part of, but our industry is kind of special. It is very popular, right? People talk about it all the time. People love to see our content because people love to eat baked goods and they love to see baked goods. So really, we kind of have an interesting position because what we do is popular. It's exciting to watch us make things. It's exciting just to see the baking process in general. People just love the things that we do. It's something that they will spend time watching and engaging with. I mean, who doesn't love the bread lady, right? Who doesn't love the cake guy? Those are all going to be kind of popular people in the community. And sometimes you can even end up being kind of like a local celebrity as you get more well-known in your community. And if you are a baker who is in that position, let us know in the comments. I live in a super small space. Well, my house is small, but the military installation where my husband is in the Army and we're stationed in a very small installation. And because of that, we're also isolated. Because of that, there are only a couple people here who do certain things. So we literally have a bread lady. She is known as the bread lady, and people say that to her at the grocery store. Okay. I'm known as the cookie lady, the cake lady. People will say that to me just out and about. So it's kind of like, you know, celebrity status, which is pretty cool. And some of us will even go on to be actual celebrities on reality TV shows, you know, like that's literally something that you can do in this profession, and that's pretty neat. So if you want to be able to be a part of pop culture, this is a really good industry to be in. I once had a friend tell me that she used to work for an eviction company, and you'll understand why I'm telling you all this in just a minute. She used to work for an eviction company, and she had many years of people being upset to see her. When she would walk through the door, they would be mad, okay, because she worked for an eviction company, so they knew they were being evicted. And we used to be coworkers at a bakery, and now she owns her very own bakery. So this was years and years ago. But I remember her telling me that she loves baking because people are always happy to see the cake lady. And after all of those years of feeling bad about her job and how people viewed her, she wants to keep that type of energy in her life. And that's why she bakes. And that's why she owns a bakery. And that's why she does what she does, because we do get a lot of good energy coming towards us. Now, personally, I feel completely grateful and honestly slightly surprised. Every day I wake up thinking, is this really what I get to do? I mean, if you just literally keep going and going and going, you're going to fail. Things are going to mess up. If you keep trying new things and you keep investing in yourself and you keep making choices that move you forward to a big goal, you're going to eventually achieve things. That's just how life works. You will eventually achieve it if you keep trying. And I am still surprised that people will actually pay me a very respectable wage to bake and make them pretty things. I mean, it's kind of amazing, to be honest with you. And sometimes I think about how people are working in suffocating jobs that they absolutely despise. And I would honestly do anything to avoid that. I don't really want to have that kind of life. I want to wake up every day being excited about what I'm about to do. And even if I'm not super excited about it, at least I know that it's going to make me not despise, my day to actually do it. Because I mean, baking can get monotonous. A lot of us know that, right? But I don't go to bed upset about what I'm doing. So personally, I'm gonna stick with the baking, even after you hear these 3 things I'm about to tell you. So even though we have a very special job as paid bakers, there are some things about baking business that you don't hear about. It might not be on your mind if you're new, because you could be kind of enveloped in this romance. Okay, there's like a romance behind what we do. Being in the bakery, smelling the bread, icing the cake, handing the cupcakes to, your customers, and they're loving it and everyone's cheering you on. There is romance behind this. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. I want to be that friendly baker friend that maybe you have and maybe you don't have, that's willing to spill the real beans for you so that you can look at this from reality and go into it with wide eyes, realistic expectations about what's going to happen. And I really wish that someone had probably mentioned this to me 16 years ago when I started, because there was a lot of kind of heartache within the first 3 or 4 years that I definitely could have avoided 100%, but I just didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't have a mentor. That's why I mentor you, because I didn't have one. And I think that it's really important and valuable. And that's why we're literally talking right now. So we're going to pull the Band-Aid off. And I might get some people popping off this video, changing their mind about baking altogether. That's okay. This is meant to help you make a choice if you're not sure. So if you have to do that and you've changed your mind, I'm okay with that. I'm glad that you will know this before you get into it. Michelle says, well over 10 years, taking money for baking, which is wonderful. Jennifer's at 1 year. Katrina says she's just started to contemplate. Okay, Katrina, this is for you for sure. Tina's here live, Tish is here live, and Lori's here live. So good to see everybody. I hope you're doing well. Okay. This first one's going to be maybe a little bit painful, and I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings, okay? But this is number 1. Passion isn't enough, okay? So if every day you're waking up and you're saying, and because I hear this all the time, all right, it's a cute thing to say, and I'm not saying it's bad because you're going to need the passion. But if, I have a passion for baking, if that's kind of where you're at right now, that isn't going to be enough gas. That isn't going to be enough to get your butt out of bed at 3 a.m. 2 weeks in a row to do XYZ. It's not going to be enough to change your mind when things get hard. There has to be something else. Again, you're going to need this, right? Passion. You can't not be passionate about it because this is a labor intensive job. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take your money. It's going to take, your energy. This isn't a desk job. You're going to be on your feet. You're going to be working hard. Like this isn't for people who don't have stamina, unfortunately. This is 8-10 hour days sometimes. And if you can't stand on your feet, if you can't lift things, if you can't, use your arms very well, or your hands, sometimes it doesn't work out for people, and that's not their fault. And I understand that. And I'm just kind of letting you know right now that passion is not enough if you can't do the other parts of it, if that makes sense. So it's great if you have passion for baking, but do you also have a passion for business? It has to come in tandem, because if you don't have a passion for business and you want to sell your baked goods for money, that is literally exactly what you're switching over. So it's no longer a hobby. It's no longer I do it when I want to. This is I'm providing a service for somebody, and there's going to be a business transaction that happens. They're going to see me as a business owner. I am acting as a business owner, and I have goals as a business owner. And that's a little bit of a different passion. So I want you to just kind of think about, can I see myself doing that? Is that something that I want to try to take on? Because if all you're wanting to do is bake some cookies now and again, having a full-on fledged baking business might not really work out. I mean, it's going to end up being more like a hobby if you're not going to choose to commit to the passion of the business part as well. And again, don't get me wrong, you're going to need the passion big time. So that has to be there too. You have to want to do what you're doing. And you will be scraping the bottom of the barrel from time to time when it gets rough. Like I wasn't going to tell this story. Okay. But I'm going to tell it just because it was a turning point. So I can't remember how many years in. I think I was about 10 or 11 years into my job as a professional cake designer. That's what I did. People paid me to do that, paid me really well to do that. I worked for lots of different bakeries because we were moving all the time with the military. So one day I was working on a wedding cake. Okay. And I remember it took me all day and I was getting really frustrated. And the person I told the story about earlier, that was the eviction person, she was working with me. And I looked at her, and it was her first year decorating. I looked at her and I said, you'll know when your passion has run out, when you want to take the thing that you've been working on for 8 hours and throw it in the middle of the road and watch people run over it. And that is what I wanted in that moment. It was a beautiful wedding cake, nothing wrong with it. It's just internally, my passion was draining and I could feel it. And that's going to happen to all of us at some point. Might be 10 years in, might be 5 years in, who knows? But eventually that part of you is going to need to be replenished in some way. So you need something else to lean on. You're going to need some goals and you're going to need clarity. Like, I know that's two really big subjects, but those are two things that I want you to kind of switch your mind and think, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to have these other things. Your passion's going to run out at some point. You can replenish it, but sometimes you need something else to fall back on. Because it's not always going to be there all the time 100%, right? You need to balance it with something else. Passion won't get you through the slow season. It won't get you over the downs from upset customers or flop sales. It happens to everybody. Okay. You're not perfect. Things aren't going to be perfect every time you do something. Maybe you just don't want to get up and bake at 3 a.m. Sometimes passion's not enough for that, right? Sometimes you need that big goal, your big why to drive why you're doing what you're doing. Maybe you burn a tray of cookies. Done that recently. Maybe you spill batter all over the floor. Okay, that's not fun. Or you wonder why in the world that you agreed to work over a family holiday, because been there. Okay, it's not fun, but you'll end up making choices like that end up essentially upsetting you after you say yes. Then you're doing it and you're thinking, why did I do this? This doesn't make any sense. Or you wake up, you have a sore back, you have sore feet. Your stress levels are over the top when you're trying to meet certain deadlines. That's all going to be part of this. This is all kind of things that happen to bakers normally. So on top of the general passion for baking arts, which I agree you need to have, you'll need a vision. You'll need a big why. And by big why, I mean a goal that's so big and scary that when you wake up every day, you're striving for it, but you're a little scared of it. Right? I hear this all the time, especially from like business gurus. If your biggest goal is not scary, then it's not big enough. Now, do you have to reach your biggest goal tomorrow? Absolutely not. This could be a 10-year goal, okay? But what we're looking at here is we're looking at setting timeline points in the future for you to make little mini choices every day to get there. And that's going to be that undercurrent that's going to help push you every time your passion might wane, right? We need something that's underneath there that's pushing you along. Okay, so that's the big one. Passion is not enough. All right, anyone leave? I don't know if anyone left. I think maybe one person left, so maybe that was harsh enough. I don't know. All right, number 2, baking business will absolutely take over your life. It just will. Okay, so if you have a life and you don't want a whole other life, maybe this isn't going to be for you. It is a ton of work. It is a ton of mental power. Can you integrate it into a current lifestyle? Absolutely. But you have to be able to make room for it, and you have to be able to understand there's going to need to be some healthy boundaries set up. And boundaries are the key. And I know a lot of us aren't good with this. A lot of bakers are very giving. We're very service oriented, and it is hard to set up a healthy boundary, especially when you're not sure kind of what to be looking for. And I want to mention some things so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. And honestly, most bakers do not have healthy boundaries set up when they first get started, especially if they've never run a service-based business before. They kind of just, maybe say yes to a lot of things they probably shouldn't, or they want to get some experience, so they take really small orders. And it ends up just being a lot of work and stress for not a lot of business experience, if that makes sense. And especially, if you're thinking about where am I spending my time? What am I doing? Those healthy boundaries will help set up so that your time is spent on things that are actually working towards that bigger why and that bigger goal, rather than things that are kind of shiny object syndrome kind of thing. You kind of want to do it, but it's not really working towards your big goal, because we can waste a lot of time doing those kinds of things. So saying no is a big one. Sticking to off time is huge. If you have a day off, you're the boss. You take the day off. Do not schedule over that day. Like, block it out on your calendar. Do not schedule here ever. Tell yourself, Melissa, don't do it. Make sure that you are actually off, because you're in charge and no one else is going to help you do that. It has to be something that you do. Maybe even something like setting order minimums as you get a little more experience to help protect your time from the because okay, I have a $200 order minimum for custom work. If you want to work with me and you want me to do something custom for you, it will be $200 or more. I don't book anything under that. That's just what I had to set, because I do tons of other things, including being here with you online, helping people online. It takes a lot of time. So I have that plastered all over the place. And I literally had someone message me today, super sweet person, asking me if I could make them 5 cookies. So even if you set an order minimum, you're going to continue to have to practice these healthy boundaries, because people either won't get it or they need to be told in a different way, etc. So healthy boundaries all over the place, definitely what I would suggest. And in our industry, I mentioned it's a service. It's labor intensive. And that can easily take up most of your day, most of the hours of your waking day, depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And you will soon start to wonder why you're spending all your time baking, right? So you're going to notice, okay, I need to set a boundary because it's going to start feeling bad. There are 3 big categories to watch for. Number 1, spatial boundaries. And what I mean by this is keeping your workspace separate and out of your living space as best as you can. If you're working at home and you're using your home kitchen, this can be a huge challenge. So this is where specific organization, specific areas, places for your things to live, work zones, which is something Claire is going over tomorrow in our live workshop, that is going to be huge for you, because your kitchen will completely explode if you do not keep an eye on this. In our industry, we tend to have a lot of largish tools and a lot of little things that are just sort of floating around that you need for baking. That can become a huge problem for a kitchen that's not really organized, right? A place that's not really set up to have workspace and home space. So even if you work in a commercial kitchen, I've had plenty of bakers and other restaurant industry people who they cook and do things in other kitchens. Sometimes they might need storage at home for things, and they'll have an issue kind of keeping those things separate. So that spatial boundary, or even if they tend to bring work home now and again, you're going to need an area set up for that. Number 2 is customer boundaries. These are huge. We've talked a little bit about them already. So things like pickup times, no shows, people who cancel last minute, etc. These are all very common, new to the industry problems. And a lot of people have questions on how do I deal with this? So you will need exposure to how a business runs via customer service options, policy creation options, things like that. This is part of the business passion, right? So this is something you're going to have to look into. I can help you. We have resources. There's other places where you can find this information. I would suggest just picking 1 or 2 sources so you don't get confused, and you can just start setting these things up so you feel more comfortable with your customer boundaries. And more than likely, you're going to end up having a lot of emotions about this, like I did, when things go wrong with customers, because it feels very personal at first. You know, it feels very raw, at least it did for me, when there would be problems, and they're going to continue to pop up, especially if you don't address them and know how to respond. So that's number 2. And then 3 is time boundaries. We probably have all experienced this already. If you've sold at least one thing for money, it's a huge one. So if you don't know when to say no, which is something we cover in the elite program, if you don't know how to say no, if you don't know when to get things done effectively, which is kind of like a scheduling system, which we're going over on Friday in the New Year New Biz workshop, and you don't know how to take the time to care for yourself and your family and your home, which is just another scheduling strategy. If you're having trouble with all of this, which you probably will at some point if you do not have a time boundary, being in this particular business will not be fun, because there's a lot of little things that go into baking and just being a baker. It's kind of like a little sprinkle every day. It's hard to take a complete day off because we have to prep for things, we have to package things, and it slides the scale left and right all the time on what you're doing. Sometimes you have to do just a little bit every day. Someday your entire day is taken up with baking. So time management skills are a must if you want to do this long term, if you want this to grow, if you want this to be something that's substantial. Time management is huge. Michelle says, last minute orders can steal your joy. I know. And it's like, you want to help people. Okay. I get it. A lot of us are service-based people. We want to help. We want to be there. We want to support people. But I mean, if I'm not getting 5 or 6 days notice, I am just looking at my calendar thinking that's going to ruin the next 5 or 6 days of my life, right? Because I didn't plan on it. And now I'm doing all the stuff I thought I was going to be off. You know, there can be a lot of push and pull with that. I definitely agree. You do not take last minute orders because of the stress. Exactly. Yep. I really ask for 2 weeks normally. If I already have some of the product, if I don't have to go shopping and I have like icing made and stuff like that, sometimes I'll take a last minute order because it's not the whole process. But I don't feel comfortable doing it either. I totally agree. Hi, Michael. Good to see you. Hey, Carrie. All right. Now, number 3. So we talked about passion isn't enough. Unfortunately, we have to have passion for business too. We have to be looking in that direction. Number 2, baking business will absolutely take over your life. You're creating a completely new thing. It is hard to integrate it if you don't have boundaries. So we covered those 3 boundaries of spatial, customer, and time. And then number 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, you will have a lot of hats to wear. So you love baking. Well, guess what? If you want a baking business, you have to do all these other things too, because it's the business part of it. So it is hard to move from a hobby to a business and not take on new roles. Additionally, not only will you have a lot of hats to wear, it is probably going to be hard for you to ask for help. It's hard for bakers to do that. I've noticed that as a trend. It's hard for me. I understand. And if you're ready for help, it is hard to find competent help sometimes if you don't know where to look, if you aren't sure what you're looking for, if you don't know what you need, etc. Baking business is specialty work. That's kind of why, right? You know, if you know kind of thing. And that means finding help, especially like in-person help with your baking one-on-one services, or even, mentor like me or someone else. In that capacity, it might be few and far in between because it's just such a specialty industry. Most of us are good at some things, really good at some things, and then, like not so good at some of the other parts. And it would be difficult to ask a person to be an expert at everything anyway. That's a lot of hats to wear, a lot of things to know, especially at the beginning. You're probably going to be good at baking, and you might be good at like 1 or 2 other things. And then the rest of it you need to learn, right? The rest of it you need to get some kind of guidance, experience, mentor to figure out how do I set myself up for success in these other areas. So let's say you rock at customer service, that's like your thing, but your social media game is non-existent. You don't know how to use it, you don't understand the algorithm, you're posting but you're not getting engagement, you don't know what to say online, etc. Right? Or let's say you're great at packaging, you love doing the bows and the boxes and everything looks beautiful, but your financial skills not working out, and they're coming to the point where it's going to hurt your business down the line because you have no idea what you're doing. So those are two very, you're good at one part, not good at so much good at the other one. What are you going to do about it? And really neither situation is acceptable because there are certain things that are really going to hurt your business. Namely, dealing with your customers, financials, anything outside of the baking itself. I mean, that needs to be good, but if you can't do the other stuff, if you can't market your business, if you can't speak to customers, if you can't set up, have a online ordering portal, those kinds of things, they're legs of your business. And if we're ignoring them, then something's not going to work out. So you will need to come to terms asking for help, from an expert in the field of whatever you're lacking in. Anyone who has ever grown a business, any kind of business, knows that this is a game changer. But sometimes if you've never asked before, it can feel a little awkward. So especially when you're getting started, it might feel like it's a luxury to ask for help. It might feel like, it's out of the ballpark to get a mentor, or it's out of the ballpark to take a course. But I will say there, like I said, it is a game changer. And once you take that first step and try it, I think you're going to start seeing the ability of yourself to gain knowledge really quickly through expert options, and then being able to invest in yourself over and over again on kind of like a system basis throughout the year. So you're gaining skills as you move forward. I also see people saying either it's a luxury, so they don't want to do it, or you'll get around to it. But let's be real, that usually just means you're going to ignore it for longer, right? Like, oh, I made a Pinterest board, and then what? Did you read any of the blogs? Did you take a course? Did you have like a coaching session? You need to make real choices to help yourself be a better business owner, because again, it's a lot of hats. There's a lot of things going on. And I will say, as the owner, because you're going to be a business owner, right? It's mostly you doing mostly everything most of the time. And that could make people pop off this video because it is a lot of work and it can be very hard on you just as a person, especially if you don't have any support at home, your friends, a mentor like me, our team. If you don't have anyone to turn to, it can be overwhelming. I'm not going to lie about that. So knowing that you can accept help and actually making a choice to do it is the way up. That's the way out. It's the way up. It's the way that you can move past overwhelm and uncertainty about what you need to be doing. Just ask somebody, like get in there, ask some questions. Hey, Anita, good to see you. Okay. Now I know today is not the lovey-dovey #Thursday Fave that I often serve up to you all on Thursdays, but it's the truth. And I wanted to just get real today because we do have so many new people. 16 years in, for me, I'm still doing it literally every day. I bake pretty much every day. I have a very steady, secure income coming from this very small community. And I really believe once you get your pillars set up in your business, you filled all the tires on your business car, you can make this work pretty much anywhere. And I hear a lot of, naysayers, oh, people don't have enough money here, or, all of my customers don't want to pay my prices, or, there's lots of blaming it on other things. But I promise you, there are ways that you can get in and you can look at the opportunities and pick at something else, try something else, look into something else. Lots of little, just even changing your marketing language can help you attract paying clients. And that's all it was. You don't have to change your product at all. It's about how you're talking about your product. But sometimes you don't see that if you don't have anyone else looking at what you're doing. Sometimes we get so close to what we do emotionally and mentally, it's hard to kind of stand back and look at what are some other options we could look at. And I think over the last 16 years, things have changed for me. All right. Like I'm I'm doing a lot of different things now than I was 16 years ago. It's all a journey. I just got up every day and continued forward, doing whatever felt right at that moment. Whatever opportunities came up, I would take them. And I figured out how to make it work. So I figured out how to make a full-time income. I figured out how to protect my time. I figured out how to make social media work for sales. I'm not online all the time. It feels really nice. I figured out how to keep my workspace from taking over my little home because I looked at that kitchen and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be a problem. But I figured out how to revamp a different part of the house to hold my stuff. And, I do the work zones like Claire's going to talk about on Friday. So I've made it work. And I will say that my goal, my personal why, is very big and very beautiful, and it is blindingly scary. So I feel like I've got a good goal set up. And every day I wake up knowing what I'm going to do and why I'm doing it. And I'm not going to lie, some days I wake up and think, what am I doing? But most of the days I wake up and think, this is what I'm good. I feel good about this. So if you'd like a slice of the clarity and boundary pie, if you'd like a slice of this, if you want to kind of feel this out, get some help, make a choice, move forward, dip your toes into working with our team, dip your toes into getting some assistance with where you're at right now, you can come hang out with us this Friday. I've been mentioning the Back to New Year, New Biz workshop. It's tomorrow and it's going to be live, but you can come live and also get the replay afterwards, or just take the replay. If you're busy, that's fine too. I get it. Sometimes you can't be available for the live time. Totally fine. Everyone who registers is going to get that lifetime replay, so you can rewatch as many times as you need to. We will be covering strategies to give you tools, literal tools, and the actual training to deal with and take control of many of the issues I just mentioned above. Many of those big hitting issues, we like to cover them at the beginning of the year. So you have that information to cushion you, fill your little business tires, put up the pillars, and then you can move forward throughout the year working on smaller things. So this is like the big kahuna. This is a lot of really good information to get you set up, geared up for the year. We're going to be covering time management skills for bakers, specifically for bakers, workspace organization skills for bakers, social media skills for marketing effectively. So we're talking marketing that's actually going to work instead of just get on there and post. No, it's going to be a strategy that you're going to need to work into to help make your time more useful online, so you don't have to spend so much time online. And you'll also get your professional baking business plan filled out, which is going to help you come up with the why, the vision, the thing that we talked about, that other thing that you need. It's going to be in the template. So you can get that big, beautiful goal set up and know exactly why you're baking and what you want to work towards. Because without a purpose, why do we do what we do, right? What are we doing here? Why are we doing this? It is going to be hard to have a baking business at times. I've already described that to you. It is not always going to be a cakewalk. You like my little joke? It's not always a cakewalk. It is hard work. It's labor, just like any job. But you can make it work, worth it, and work for you if you get in and set up those important parts right away, which is why we're doing this tomorrow with you in the workshop. If you need the link to sign up for tomorrow, let me know. We're accepting live registration through tonight. So you can get on anytime today and get your spot set up. And if you want to, you can get 25% off by using a VIP discount that is available to elite mentorship members. So if you are an elite member, you can use that discount on the workshop. It's in our private group. You can see the discount or just message me for it. I can send you the link for that as well if you want to be a part of that group support system, group support program we have, the elites. If you want to sign up for the elites and then get the discount and then sign up for the workshop, we've already had people doing that. So if you want to do both, you can get it all in one go. Feel free to message me directly. Go ahead. Don't be afraid to do that. Message me directly if you have questions, or if you have issues getting your spot in the elites or the workshop, or you have more questions about how that works, let me know. I'll be available today to message you back and chat about that. And we'll see you all soon in there. Just a couple hours. It's from, I think, 9 to 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but also available on replay. And we're going to get you set up for growth and results in the next few days. So you're going to get the information and you're going to be able to use it literally right after we're done and start setting up all the strategies we have laid out for you through the templates and the tools and then the actual training itself. As always, if you find yourself not in absolute complete love with either of those offers, if you do sign up, we always honor your money back via our regular terms. and conditions, because we are in the business of happy bakers. We don't mess around. We want you to be thrilled with whatever you're doing with us. Okay. And Michelle says, and at times it's a lonely job. Exactly. So that's where the support system, the elites, any kind of coaching we offer where it's live like this, anything that can help you feel less alone, I think is beneficial to this specific type of job and industry for sure, because it can be very lonely. You're right. All right, so I'll see y'all tomorrow. If you want to sign up for the workshop, comment here, message me if you need the information. I'll be hanging out on the group or on Messenger if you want to chat. And I'll be watching to see you. If you put your registration in, I'll email you with the information right away. You'll get it in your inbox. And I'll be watching for your posts. If you want to post anything in the group, start threads, start conversations, we will get in there and talk with you and hang out. All right, that's it for today. And I will see you all next week. Hope you have a lovely day and hope to see you tomorrow in the workshop. Okay, bye.